Sorry from 17 once again. This is my Metro Last Light Ranger Hardcore difficulty video walkthrough. This is the final chapter of the game, chapter 30, and it's entitled D6. And this is essentially the Battle of Thermopylae of Metro. We are the last of the Spartan, or Snartan, or however you say the goddamn Russian crazy end thing. The last of that Ranger squadron, and we're putting up a final barricade from the imposing army. And the funny thing about this entire first sequence is you don't have to do anything. Don't have to do anything. You can just sit behind this wall where I am and just not pop out, not shoot anybody, and eventually you're going to get knocked out of cover, it's going to trigger a checkpoint, and you're going to progress to the next area. So this is literally the easiest way to do it without killing people and without taking damage. Just sit here like a bitch and enjoy yourself. But I'm going to go back over to the Twitch chat because there's nothing really to talk about on this moment. So once again, I apologise if you want nothing but strategy, but if you want just interesting commentary, hopefully we'll have that in spades. So we've got people talking about Dark Souls 2 and all that good stuff. We've got Poundland talking about the 100 nobles being impressed in Alexandria Castle when you do the fake fight with, is it Biggs? I think his name is Biggs or Wedge, I can't remember the names. And to do that you have to make no mistakes and you get a Moonstone, which is a pretty decent item. So Sofrek is saying Dark Souls 2, not Dead Space 2, because I assume he didn't get the joke, but I'll let him off, unless that is a joke and then we both didn't get the joke. Fighting games are an interesting example of difficulty. They are, but fighting games are believers where AI rears its ugly head, because it gets to the point where the enemy AI reads your button commands and counters everything you do and does ridiculous juggles where it doesn't seem like it's physically possible to do anything. But on this moment here, folks, because I'm not trying to kill anybody to show you a good strategy to get the achievement for not killing people, on this moment here we're waiting. I'm sitting behind this piece of sheet metal or concrete or whatever the hell it is. I've got the big old sniper rifle because we're waiting for the train on the other side to pull up and have it able so that you can shoot the tyre on it. You can shoot the wheels. And it takes quite a long time for it to turn up. And you can't damage the wheels until it stops, it seems like. Even if you try. And I do try. And it stops later on. The first stop is kind of imaginary, so don't go for that one. But Bayonetta's been raping me. No lube big time. Wow. Interesting. And that's a rather easy one, so I've heard. Bayonetta's not easy, dude. Bayonetta can be easy if you make it easy. And that's what a lot of gamers did. Biggest problem with Bayonetta is you can make lollipops, like nothing. Like cows eat grass. So you can have 1,000,000 lollipops that make you immortal, that completely regenerate your life, completely give you full life. You can ruin that game with lollipops. And I hate that. I hate that about it. It completely diminishes all the value of the skill unless you take pride in such things. And it's a shame, because that game is extremely challenging, and there's a lot of people that have beat it that really shouldn't deserve to beat it, because all they've done is abuse the fact that you can spam healing items like a bitch. I'm glad that you can do that, because it means more people will play it. Like, I'm the only person in my group of friends who like those kind of action games. For instance, I was at Lummy and Ryan's house a couple of weeks back. We all got together and had some beers. And Ryan was playing the game on normal, and he was up against, what's his name? The very first boss, I think he's for Fortitudo or something. And he was getting his ass slapped, absolutely beat up. Like, he didn't really know the best way to fight him, he'd not really figured out a strategy and stuff, and he was just getting pounded, and it was one of those things where you could tell that he wasn't really enjoying it. He'd got to this brick wall of difficulty, and it had just messed him up, just completely messed him up. And I was sat there thinking, there's 1,000,001 things I could say, but it's not really my place to do that, He's got to learn if he wants to play these games. And all my friends, even Lummy, who's one of those competitive guys, if you do something and Lummy plays that game, he wants to beat you. He wants to do it better than you did it. Like, if there's any scoring system, he'll go for the scores. That's the kind of dude he is. And even he doesn't play those kind of games. Like, very interesting. But there's a really frustrating part of this game. When you try and aim your minigun, if you're in the geometry of an NPC, he doesn't fire. And they'll get in the way here, and it'll get to the point where you physically can't shoot your weapon, and I hated that. But the strategy here is simple. Wait for your team to thin out the numbers. As soon as the phalanx turns up of the shields, you want to shoot them with the minigun to unveil the big armored dude and then shoot him. If the shield guys and the flamethrower dude get to the barricade, you've lost and you'll die. There's nothing you can do at all. But killing the people with the shields doesn't count towards killing enemies, so you can feel free to go nuts with the minigun. You will still get your achievement, and then the rest of this game is just hiding and shooting, and it's nice and simple. So Vestigial Scott says, I've never really understood scores in most games. It just irritates me when I see them because they just exist to remind me I'm shit. Which is an interesting way of looking at it against. Scores can be very humbling, and I get that. I do. But at the same time, they can also be an incentive to play more and to learn more and to get better at the game. Like when I was doing the Splinter Cell guide, and I was getting, in the top 10 on the leaderboards and things like that, and I was like, that's pretty cool. The game's new. I'm obviously, one of the highest scores, and that's a pretty nice feeling. It doesn't really mean much because they're going to be mastered soon and ridiculous scores are going to happen. And then I saw somebody whose score was so high, I feasibly didn't know how they'd done it. And at the time, I didn't know how the scoring system worked, but I do now, and I understand it. And it's a good thing, because the scoring system on Blacklist rewards skill. It rewards skill and it rewards knowledge. And I didn't really think it did. I just thought it was a case of whoever gets past every area without being detected gets the maximum bonus and gets the highest score. And that's not the case, guys. If you get a time bonus, and the game records every time you fail. So, feasibly, to get the best score, you have to get through it all without being spotted once on the hardest difficulty, without ever failing, so no retries. And that is all skill at that point. So the highest scores you're seeing that are really, really high are the people who have smashed it, are the people who've literally had that perfect run, who've not stopped playing until they've repeated, every time they fucked up, repeat, start from beginning, and then they got that awesome score. And there's something really fascinating about that culture of people. Because they're the same people in the arcades back in the 80s that were chasing scores on games like Pac-Man and Asteroid and all that kind of good stuff. They were chasing scores. They're the same people that do the shmups and chase those scores. The people that were beating games on 1 credit, on 1 quarter. It's really interesting to see. It's cool. It's very cool. I prefer score over things like chaos. My decision to kill or not should be story-wise. If they portray him as a real dick, then it's easy to kill him. If you can relate to him, then why would you want to knock him out? I don't care about playing most single-player games repeatedly, so I'm never going to take the time to improve. Well, I suppose that's fair. Is Seraphim any good at RTS games? All depends. When you bear in mind that I was brought up on the original Command & Conquers and the original Warcrafts, I used to be very good at them. The difference being is they haven't released one that I thought was worth playing in a very long time. But there are the achievements, guys. I only got the 2 Ranger ones. Everything else I failed, unfortunately. But that is the end of the game and the end of the guide. So hopefully it helps. And hopefully it sees some success on the channel, which is always nice to see. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.